Okay. My name is Timur. I'm the book co-founder and creator.
My name is Seva. I'm the co-founder of the book project. So before the book, I used to make escape rooms. I think it was my first big project. I have started with the Mystery of Leonardo da Vinci room. It was kind of museum of Leonardo da Vinci devices, and all of them were moving. It was amazing. Then we built steampunk airship and Alice in the Nightmare. At that period, I met Timur, and we were partners in this business, and we became really good friends. So as soon as the new idea came up, I knew who to go to.
I'm entrepreneur. I'm entrepreneur for 15 years already. I had and I still have a company for my tabletop games, and I'm a co-founder of escape room company, and at one point it was the biggest. I think it's the biggest chain in the world. And Seva was my partner there. He built the quests, escape rooms, and the first time when we saw what he'd done, we was like, wow, that's so impressive, so expensive. He put so much effort on it. We thought that he will never gonna get back his investment in it, and he never did actually. But we became friends, and yes, and this book idea appeared. So I don't know. It works at the end.
Yeah. So the idea of the book, it's actually a long story. I don't know where to start with. Maybe from the childhood. It's too far. Okay, when I was a kid, I had a hobby. Okay, I was thinking before going to bed, how would I do some basic stuff? For example, a bow or a trebuchet or some chemical stuff. And I was keep thinking about it while I was falling asleep. And in the morning, I was checking myself if I were right or not. Usually, I was wrong. But at that time, I realized that behind every object we interact with, there was a bright idea. And it was amazing to find out how basic stuff works. And then I think I forgot about this hobby for many years. Also, because I was doing escape rooms and I didn't sleep at all. But then the COVID started. And we were with my wife in Japan. There is an island, Naoshima, the island full of museums. And we were there completely alone. So the borders were closed. There were no tourists at all. And at some point we found ourselves on the empty island, in the empty hotel. And we were walking around and there were literally nobody. And it was pretty interesting atmosphere. And we started to think, what if this is the beginning of the end? The start of the pandemic. So what if COVID would kill 99% of the people? And we started to fantasize about it and realized that me and my wife were pretty useless to rebuild civilization. She's a DJ, an artist. I was building non-profitable escape rooms. So we came up with the idea. So we need to write a book And of course, the first who came up in my head was Timur. And I sent him a message immediately, like, Timur, we have an idea, but we don't have time. We have to write a book, and let's start it as soon as possible. That's how it started for me.
I don't know. For me, it's a pretty simple story. I just got a message. Yes. And it was obvious it was a good idea, and we should start to develop it. And it was like a game, and it wasn't very serious. We just started to trying to imagine what it could be about, and trying to find illustrators and see the reference or something. Yeah. That's how our journey starts.
And by the way, I have a notebook with first sketches. It will show you the original vision of the book. Let me bring the notebook. So this is one of the first sketches of the bicycle book, the bicycle page. Should I show it to the camera? Or you can, we can cut it somehow. Our sketches looked like this. So we definitely need to find a good illustrator. It was our first challenge because the idea is good, but neither me or not Timur, as you can see, we can't draw.
Yeah. My daughter, she is 2 years old, and she starts to draw like her first images. And sometimes she asks me to help her to draw something as well. And I see that we have a pretty same level of skill. Yeah, we definitely will need someone more skilled and professional.
Yeah, I think our sketches were so bad that they became somehow legendary in our team. We have to make a special book of our sketches.
Yes. We will show,
it's gonna be awful.
We will show the best of them.
First of all, it was our work with Timur. We took napkins, pencils, and started to draw awful illustrations. We have many of them, different ideas. One of them you saw. And then we give all these sketches to Lev to impress him. And that was the next step. The first sketch from Lev. They were always beautiful. But still, we started, every time we discuss what we can change to improve the illustration, to add some twist, to add some Easter egg.
I think we should explain what is it.
Yes, twist.
Twist. So because of the author of the book, he's not from the Earth. He's like a mystical creature who travels through the time and multiverse. And invention they can see there, he see them not in our universe. He see them elsewhere, and trying to draw and to describe what does he saw. So that was an idea that we put in the book, that this invention should be in one way similar what we used to see, for example, bicycle, but another way we should twist it a little bit, so it's look a little bit unusual. We did it to provoke imagination in the readers, because when you see the train, but you see that describe it and paint it in different way, you're trying to think, oh, maybe my refrigerator could be looks different as well if it will be built in different multiverse. So we have a twist. This is a twist when we're trying to change the appearance of invention, and there was a task for us. So each our spreadsheet should have a twist.
Yeah, I think we succeed. So after the illustration is ready with twist, we add Easter egg. So almost in every illustration, we have an Easter egg. They're different from some Easter eggs from other books. For example, the water page. There is Little Prince Easter egg. The stars drawn in the style of Little Prince, a small fox and a pilot. And we have more difficult, more intellectual Easter eggs. For example, one of my favorites is the Go page. It's the Go game, and in our universe there was a historical moment when the human lost a game to AI, and they played three games, and in one of the games the human, he made a move, and that move made the machine to think, and it was called the move of the god. So we took the exact moment of this game and put it inside the illustration. So I'm really proud of this Easter egg. So there are plenty of them. I think I even doubt that you can find all of them.
Even we can find all of them,
Yeah.
because sometimes our illustrator was at them by themselves.
Yeah, I think 3 days ago I was looking through the book, because for the next edition we want to add more Easter eggs. So I was trying to find illustrations that don't have Easter eggs, and I found a few new ones that I haven't seen before. So even for us, the book is still a surprise.
By the way, the bicycle have a great Easter eggs. You should find it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it's the first one. The first Easter egg.
Yes.
Because in Gunpowder we didn't have an Easter egg, and in the bicycle we came up with the idea that this is the ideal place to put the ideal Easter egg.
That's true.
Yeah, you're welcome to find it.
Yes. Okay.
So I think
yeah.
now you have the great illustration.
So when I got the message from Seva, and when we start immediately thinking how this book it could look like, and I remember that I have two books that I'm really fond of. It's Voynich manuscript and Codex Seraphimus, and the last one is just this great book. I don't know, it's everyone aware of it, but if not, you should Google it and buy it. It's also a manuscript, but it's written by an unknown author on a language that doesn't exist, and there are colorful and bizarre and strange illustrations. And when you open it, you just don't know what is going on, but it's beautiful and interesting somehow, but you still don't understand what's going on. So I think it was our main inspiration, and that's how we were looking for our first illustrators. So we just take this book and said, can you do it like this? And it was very difficult to find, because it's really skilled work, and we was very lucky that we found Alev who can do something similar.
I once wrote a message to the creator of the Codex Serafini.
Really?
Yeah, he's an Italian architect. At the time I wrote him a message, he was 90 years old, and he never replied. But still, if he's still alive, and there is a chance he can see this interview, respect.
Yeah. Yeah, so we wanna make this books looks like old mystical artifacts that can consist some mysteries inside.
Yeah, for me, I was also inspired by Leonardo da Vinci diaries. I think they have this catchy style that you want to dig into this book because there is a feeling that it consists some mystery. And I think we wanted the same from our book.
Yeah, but we should because we want to make it like a mystery artifact. We should sacrifice something, and it was our names and our team's names. So there's no author there. It's a full mystery.
Yeah, the artifact. What could you say? So it all started with the main illustrator. I think the first we found Svetlana Dorosheva. We did like her illustrations and her style, but she was busy at that moment, and she recommended us Lev, and we were really obsessed with his style. He was really great. So we started with the first illustration. It was I always forget this word. Gunpowder. And it was great, really great. We didn't make any changes, maybe just a few ones. So in the beginning there were 3 of us, me, Timur, and Lev.
Yeah, and we make a campaign. And during campaign, you should give a promise to your bakers, like how long time it should take you to make a book. And we asked Lev, what do you think? How much time do you need actually? And he said, I don't know, maybe 5 years, maybe 6 years. It should be
7.
enough. Yeah, 7. Yeah, but and the guy who make a Codex Seraphimos is took him 20 years to make a book. So it's like, it's okay. But we can't promise it to the baker's guy. You should wait for 6 years till the books will come. So it was obvious that we have to hire more illustrators. And Lev started talking with people. We give them like test work, and one by one, it's our team became bigger and bigger. It was like 11 Friends of Oceans and movie, and like, team are gathering. Then after illustration, we got experts and researchers because it's very complicated topics inside. So we were looking for people in different fields, and so on. I think at the top, at the moment, we have like 30 or 40 people who work on it. Good.
Yeah, I even don't remember the exact number of experts we talked with. Dozens of them. It was really interesting. Yeah, the team. I think the team is the heart of the book. Like, it was a tough challenge, but we were really lucky that we have all these people. I think most of them we didn't see in person still.
Yeah,
it was COVID.
Because of the COVID,
Yeah.
and because everyone live in different parts of the world.
Yeah, it was Israel, Belarus, Ukraine, Germany. Yeah, I think we have a picture, like a screenshot of the Zoom call. Like 10, 15 people. I think we have to meet someday all together.
Yeah, the gathering.
Yeah, I think we met Lev only.
Yeah.
Only.
I saw him like 3 years later on exhibition in Germany.
Yeah. It was a great.
But we spent so many times together in Zoom calls, so I don't know how to say it. I know him very well when I see him first time already. It wasn't surprise.
There's nothing to talk about. A great time.
Yeah. So for me, this book is some kind of a game. The game you can play in your imagination. we definitely play in it when we wrote it, and I think you can play in it when you read it. It's a game. When you see the world around you, you can think, what exactly I want to put inside this book? Because when our civilization is gone and you have to really use it to rebuild the world that you will rebuild, that world will be based on the thing that you put inside. So it's very interesting task to find what exactly you want to put inside. We have like limited amount of things that we can write about, and you could choose wisely. And when we make a campaign, we were surprised how serious people about this game, because we had an idea. We have an idea that we should put acupuncture in it.
I think so. Just
Yeah.
read subtitles.
Yeah. Because we thought it's a good invention. People use it. Many people like it.
I mean, it's interesting to draw.
Yeah, it's interesting to draw. And we got so many letters from our bakers who said, please guys, don't put it inside because
It's bullshit.
it's a bullshit. It's not a tradition. It's traditional medicine. It's not scientific proven. And I don't want to live in a world that actually have it. Yeah, and each topic was like a discussion. Is it a good idea or not? For example, there is a topic about weapons.
And there is a chapter.
A chapter about weapons, yes, and we had a discussion. Maybe we should skip it. Maybe if we skip it, the future people, future generations will not have a war. Because they said, come on guys, we can't fight with each other with the sticks. We're not the barbarians. There is no weapons there, so no killing anymore. Yeah, it's an interesting game about what do you want to pack, what do you want to unpack from it.
Yeah, there was also an argument from Timur, and I really liked it. At first, I thought that we have to include only rational things in the book, or some inventions. But once Timur said that if we pack only rational things inside the book, we will unpack pretty rational civilization, and it's going to be really boring. So we had art, music, meditation, and all this stuff. And I think it made book much more interesting. So as for me, I think the book is it's a keyhole to the childhood. It helps you to get back this feeling that most of us lost being adult. It's actually the way of thinking. It's when you see something behind things. I like the example of a traffic jam. For us adults, we usually complain being in a traffic jam. But if you think the traffic jam is something genius, like so many things had to happen. It's an engine, it's traffic lights, it's traffic rules, it's a uniform, it's a wheel, and so many things just happened in one moment. So the traffic jam could possibly exist. And this way of thinking, that behind everything, behind every object you can possibly see around you, there is a unique, a bright idea. And I miss this feeling. Even I think, starting to forget it. So the book is, for me, the way to remind you that we are all still the kids. And we all can see the world in this perspective. Very, very curious.
So when we get the money, we should have to start the work, actual work, and we were trying to design the process, how to make it in like 1 year. And we make some kind of conveyor, right?
I think
It's
so.
the right word.
I think I don't know.
Okay.
I would use the same one.
Okay, a conveyor line. So there was a group of researchers who was seeking for basic content. They Google it and make researches. And at that point we have a lot of different information. And then we have an expert in this field, for example, it's physics.
I think the first challenge was to pick these topics out of, I think we had like hundreds of them.
Yeah, okay. The first thing was we should pick a topic and make a structure. And
it was a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge because we have a huge list of like possible inventions, and then we're trying to think how can we organize it, because actually there is no like natural way to organize inventions. Maybe most natural if we're trying to organize it on the time scale when they were invented, but we don't have any history here.
Yeah.
Or we can organize it alphabetically, A, B, C, D,
boring.
But it's very boring. So we think a lot, and we have just one beautiful and strange idea to maybe we can make it as divide illustration on elements like fire and air and water, and to make it like totally strange and mystical book, so no one could understand why this invention actually here. I think it was a beautiful idea, but we finally stopped on, I think, a little bit more boring one, but more understandable. So we just pack inventions in different topics and trying to organize them from most simple one to more complex one.
Yeah.
It's not
try to imagine how the humanity would develop. Actually.
Yes, it's not a strict structure, not strict principle. Because, for example, the second or third chapter is medicine, and we have extra in it. It's very complicated thing.
But much easier than you thought.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, to choose topics, I'm still not sure. Should we add toilet paper? I remember there were many messages about that, but I think it was because of pandemic panic.
Yeah.
And people were writing us message like, "What about toilet paper?" Add it. We have paper. I think that's enough. Don't panic.
Yes.
And then toilet also we have.
Yes.
No, it's also there was a challenge, not a challenge, but it was a fun discussion about art. There is no words. There is only one chapter without any words inside it. And there is a story behind it, of course. It's not like we are too lazy, but we had experts in different fields, and it took us dozens of hours to discuss every topic. And then we faced art. I think it took us hundreds of hours. And we were arguing what the art is. And we just didn't find the answer. And we were thinking how to describe art in every topic, and then we realized that art is a beauty that don't need an explanation. So at this point, this is like truly art. So we just decided to remove all the words from the chapter. Yeah, that was our decision. Yeah, not laziness. What else? I think there is a story about the end of the book.
What?
About the end of the book. It also was a question. What? Like the first chapter was easy.
Yeah.
Like fire.
Yeah.
The last one was not so easy.
Yeah, but we came up, I think, with a good decision by at the end. So book starts from the fire and ends with the festival.
Yeah, actually, yeah, just realized that it ends with fire.
Yeah.
Some topics we didn't include, but they were in a Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah.
There was a great topic, seppuku.
Yes.
I do love it. I do love Chinese culture and
Japanese.
we will maybe cut it, maybe no, my mistake. No, but I like Japanese culture and Chinese, both of them, Asian culture. And also, so seppuku was pretty damn good illustration. Why did we exclude law?
Because when we were imagining our book, and it was easy to make some kind of jokes, for sure, like seppuku was a joke, but when we actually tried to write it, was really difficult to explain to ourselves why humanity needed a seppuku as an invention.
The beautiful way for exit.
I'm not sure. I mean, it's part of our history, and it's a beautiful, in some way, beautiful tradition. But I'm not sure that it's necessary.
At least it works compared with acupuncture.
Yes. We also lost an acupuncture, but not because we don't like it or because we think we don't use this book. It's just not fit. It doesn't fit the structure because we have a medicine at the very beginning, and this medicine that we have there, that was how to say, so it's just acupuncture. It just doesn't fit in exactly that chapter, so we can find a place for it, but we like it. Maybe in the next book.
And I also want to add that some illustrations were made with the first sketch. It was easy to draw. And I remember the steam bath. I think there were, I remember at least 3 or 4 versions of the steam bath illustrations. It was tough to draw. So my point that behind every illustration there is plenty of work. Versions, sketches, discussion, but it was so interesting to do.
So, what challenges do we face, right? For me personally, I think the big challenge was the amount of words that we can use to describe each topic. Because it's coffee table book. It's mostly about illustration, and it takes like 80% of the spreadsheet. So we were left to, I don't know, 2,000 characters to describe each topic. And when you start to talk with experts in different fields and trying to dig it in, you just start to realize how big it is them and how difficult it is to describe. And it's a little bit more easier with the technical stuff because they're like main idea. If it's a grand invention, usually idea is very simple. It's easy to describe. But when we go to the non-technical parts, with the music, with the psychology, meditation, yoga, and everything,
Yeah, there are always multiple answers.
Yes, it always different answers to one questions, and you should always like describe the whole picture first before you can give a real answer to that. So yeah, that was a difficult trying to tell about such difficult topics in a very, very, very using very, very short amount
I remember
of text.
your phrase. For example, if we ask people to describe the wheel or the engine, it's usually only one answer, the obvious one, the truth. And when we talked about yoga, for example,
Yeah.
there were many options. And you said once that we need not to think what we think about yoga. We need to think what yoga thinks about itself.
Yes, and that's really, really, it's very interesting, but very, very difficult task. And there is one chapter when we give up. It's an art.
No, yeah,
You can tell it.
Well, I think we didn't give up. We found a solution.
Yeah. Because we talk with I don't know how many experts about art,
Yeah,
and we're trying to ask them. So we have 2,000 characters or 300 words to explain what is it art,
Yeah.
and it's like,
And we got like what as many people we ask, the same amount of answers, different answers we get.
yes, yes, yes.
It was impossible to pick one. But still, I think our solution is great. Yeah, that was a challenge. The whole spiritual part,
Yes.
hard one. Any more challenges?
I mean, for sure, it was a big challenge with timing, and
I think it was more interesting than challenging, the whole process. Yeah, except logistics, but we are talking about the book.
Okay.
We don't have so much time in this interview to talk about logistics perhaps. Yeah, let's discuss the cover. Because there is an idea behind both of them. You can talk about this one.
Yeah, we have a previous cover. My daughter put some painting on it, so it's an improved one. So we have a previous cover with 3 rings. It's our main, I don't know, logo of the book, and we can still use it inside. And there's a meaning, hiding meaning. And this logo has got 3 circles. One is a Ouroboros who eating itself, and one of them is a, like, let's say, mechanical wheel.
It represents humanity, I think.
It represents humanity, yes. And the third one is like more biological, natural, so it represents the nature.
Yeah, I think also there is Pact of Rerich behind. Pact of Rerich behind.
Pact of Rerich.
Yeah. The original idea we discussed, the logo of Pact of Rerich, 3 dots. With the pact about protecting all cultural things. You can Google it, it's easier for you to Google than to me to explain. And then we put 3 circles. It's a combination of nature, humanity, and something mystic we don't understand yet.
It may be a time or a circle that we are going through.
Yeah. And there is like the book that in the center of all these 3 circles. So the mixture of these 3 things, there is the truth somewhere, and something unique and interesting, and magical. Yeah, that was our original logo.
Can you remind me why we decided to change it right away?
I think we wanted the book to look like artifact. So there are also a lot of meanings, but to be honest, I don't remember all of them. But even the number of, not the leaves, but there is a rose in the center.
Petals?
And the number of petals?
I think petals?
The number of petals. There is also a meaning. Yeah, I think it looks more more mystique. So it's kind of the cover that might be done by some creature or by someone human.
Yeah. So we decided to make another approach on the cover, and we have a brilliant idea that we should just make the new cover and then ask our audience what do they actually like more. And we think people will just choose it, and that's it. And then we make a vote on our Kickstarter page or somewhere, and we put two covers and said, well, so people, what do you like more? And it was like 51 to 48 result.
Yeah.
And we decided we just make half of our bakers unhappy. Justified began there.
Yeah, we are in a trap.
So the solution for us is the winning cover, who had 51% of voting, and we put our old logo on the book cover.
Yeah, we do hope that now at least 60% of people are happy.
Yeah.
Mushrooms is great.
The second best. We should talk about second best, and then otherwise it's not interesting.
Yeah, the second best.
But you should open it, maybe.
I think you can see it now. The second one, I do love bicycle. I think bicycle is good. Oh, I do love the alarm clock.
Alarm clock.
Yeah,
that's
because the Lenin is great. The monster behind under his bed. Yeah, I do like the alarm clock. What about yours?
I forget how it's called. The huge oven.
Metal with metal.
No, yes.
Yeah, it was good. I also don't remember the name. Yeah, it was great.
Let's see how it's.
The metal.
Let's see how it's.
Metalink. Yeah, I don't remember, but it's really great. I also like the farm. I think because there is a pretty cute Easter egg, and the illustrator itself, he came up with an idea. There is a dinosaur inside it. I think it was pretty cute.
Metal casting, I think.
Yeah, probably metal casting. Probably metal casting. And I even can't say what I like in this illustration. Just the general feeling in metal. I also like bonsai page in art, and it's gonna be even better because I want to add an Easter egg in the next edition. Because my daughter, she really liked Totoro animation, so I want to put a small Totoro inside.
Yeah, metal casting.
Yeah, metal casting is great. I think there is no Easter egg, but it's just good without it. Or I didn't find it yet. I don't know. Yeah, I think there are many of them, but it's hard to find the best after mushrooms.
Yeah, that's true.
Mushrooms great, and people love it because we see how our advertising performs.
Yeah.
And this is the most popular illustration. We even have an idea. To make another book called The Drug, and it's gonna be a huge encyclopedia of drug effects. It's just an idea for now. We're not sure that it's possible to make this book in terms of law, but if it's possible, it's gonna be amazing. Whew, there are plenty of them.
Yes. First of all, we just finished our new Kickstarter campaign. and this is a book about Noah Kaplan, the last human being that survived the huge catastrophe when the Earth was exploded.
Yeah, that was obvious book because we have in the list of topics for the book, we had a kind of, at that time we called it trash list. I think all the topics we didn't include in the book, but there were many interesting ones, but they were just, they didn't fit inside the book. For example, like video games. So it was obvious that we need to make another book that consists out of these topics. So here's how I think Answer of Humankind begins.
Yes, yes. And there is a story about this guy who was, there was aliens who saved him from exploded Earth. So they took him to their spaceship, and he found himself there, feeling that he has some kind of obligation to make a book about humanity and describe what it was about, the best, the most important thing, the cultural artifacts that humanity made during its history. Obviously, he has no reason to talk about technical inventions in this book, because there are aliens there on the spaceships. They know how to make toasters and vacuum cleaners. So he focused on movies, on art, sometimes maybe on nature. So it's some kind of nostalgic encyclopedia of the Earth culture and the Earth itself.
I think it's he's tried to find an answer to the question what makes us humans,
Yes,
like unique
yes,
in the universe.
yes, yes.
So it's not about, it's more
Yeah.
not about our inventions, but more about some tricky, unique small parts like dancing.
Yes.
So it's easier to imagine that there is no dancing in universe except for humans than toasters or vacuum cleaners. Yeah, it's the book we are working, one of
Yes.
the book we are working right now, but we have a few more in
Yes.
early stage of production.
Yeah. We have a Black Book of Inventions. That's how we call
That's
it
a
right
cool
now.
name, the Black Book.
Yeah, the Black Book of Inventions. There's a book about inventions that didn't survive for different reasons. Some of them was like because it was not great ideas from the beginning, in a practical way. I mean, there are other reasons is because more better, effective inventions just came up and crossed the path. But it's interesting to look at them because each invention tells something about humanity, how we think, what we would like to achieve, how we want to make our life easier, and they're beautiful also. Yeah,
Yeah, we dig into blueprints of the past, and there are plenty of interesting, sometimes crazy patents. I remember the phone, maybe from Motorola. It's a capsule, the phone capsule that you put inside your teeth, inside your tooth, and you need to collect like this to answer the phone. So there was a patent. So there might be a universe where people like collecting like this to pick up their phones.
it's maybe our future.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe it's our future. So we think it's gonna be an interesting book.
Yes. So we have some concepts to develop. We're gonna move with them a little bit further and see how it's going on. Maybe make a kick campaign, maybe make a landing page to test it, how it works. Yeah.
Also, I want to make the book about language. I call it The Word, because I'm always curious about language structure. I think last year I've played 400 Scrabble games only last year. So the language is amazing. I like the example, but I need to double check if it's the truth. About the word hangover, for example. There is a story behind that. Then when people were drunk, um, back in time, there were three options to get sober. They can pay, for example, 3 pence for a bed. It was expensive. They can pay 1 pence to sleep standing. It was not uncomfortable. And there is like a middle option, 2 pence. There was a rope, and you can hang over it to sleep, to get sober. And that's how this word appeared. So I think now about the book, about etymology, about dead languages, about the unique words. For example, in Japanese there is a word, no chance I'm going to remember it, but it literally means the sun that goes through the leaves between trees. Or there's a word, the silence when it's snowing, like the unique silence. So I think it also might be a good encyclopedia, but now it's just an idea. And I think we also have an idea to promote others' book. For example, Sveta Doroshev.
Yeah.
So we never, when we were making the book, we didn't know that it's going to be such a big project, and now we have kind of a publishing.
Yeah, we have very small publishing house. I think it's called like that. We're trying to develop our own project, and we see around. We have an idea what is suited for us, so it's like a coffee table book, but not a usual one. When you can just see the different painters, what they make, their artworks. It should be in some way maybe educational and maybe interactive, I don't know. So I would say interesting, unusual coffee table books.
Yeah, I think our team's talent is to make sometimes boring things really interesting. Yeah, so we have many plans, and we do want people to see us as a company who can improve their products. So we are free for any ideas, and if people have the idea of their own book,
yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. We have a great team, and we already discussed with you. Yeah. So our future plans sometimes depends on you. So we forgot to mention the quest. There is a quest inside the book that helps you to find the treasure.
The real treasure. We actually dig
a hole in Cappadocia.
yes, and put a chest there. This is a special edition of our book.
Yeah, like a kind of the first edition. It's made with leather, golden pages, the metal symbol, the original one, and coins, brass coins.
And then there is a special place in the book. If you read it very carefully, you can find it, and this is like an entrance point to the quest.
Yeah, there are a few kind of hiccups we made to make it more difficult and interesting. I think the good solution was we divided.
Maybe we shouldn't tell it. With the thing.
Yeah, that's gonna be spoiler. Okay. Anyway, it was a challenge to find a balance. So to make it difficult enough to be interested and easy enough to be solved. So it took bakers 1 year to solve it, but they needed a push from us. So originally we were thinking of not giving any hints at all, but at some point we realized that people just don't read book so carefully, so precise, and maybe we made it a bit more difficult than we expected.
Anyway, there are guys who already solved it and got the treasure. We're thinking now what can we make instead of the treasure. I think we're not gonna put another one.
Yeah, but there's
in
still
the same
some
hole,
reward.
but we were thinking to make some nice reward if you go through this.
So you still can solve the puzzle. It's gonna be great. And you don't need to go to Cappadocia to get the present. Follow the quest.
What's the conclusion? What should we talk about?
So I don't know. Here's the story we told you about the book. For me, it was a great journey. Maybe it's the start of the greater journey. I don't know, but I think it's one of the happiest periods of my life. At least, definitely one of the most interesting. It was great.
Yeah.
Such a good team, and the book I'm really proud of. And there's actually a special edition. Only one book. I made it dedicated to my wife because I do find this book kind of a legacy project that I'm proud of. And every time I read some stories about the book, and there are plenty of them. There's a guy who was homeless and found this book. Someone gave it to him as a present, and it motivated him to find his home, work, and etc. And there are plenty of stories like this. I really have this combination of feelings. I miss this project. I regret a bit that it has ended. But it was great, and I do believe that it's just the beginning.
Yes, the same for me. I mean, we put a lot of effort in it, and I'm very happy with the result. I'm still think that we could develop it a little bit. Still maybe some small mistakes or misspelling in it, so it will be more edition.
Yeah. More edition, maybe volume 2.
Yes, maybe volume 2, because we stopped at some point. But some people asking us, could we write about Bitcoin, how to make a computer? Yes.
Maybe how to improve civilization.
Yes.
How to rebuild.
Maybe we should make a book about rocket science.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah, we're full of ideas, full of enthusiasm, and we have such a good team that it's gonna be a crime not to make another book or maybe another something. The puzzle.
Yeah, we make a puzzle. Our Lev actually in the process of finishing the big, beautiful puzzle.
Yeah, it took him more than 100 hours of work.
Yes.
To make only one puzzle.
Yes, it will be ready in a few weeks.
Yeah, and maybe something else. Just stay tuned. Enjoy our book. Buy it if you don't have it yet, or steal. Yeah, I think you're gonna enjoy it. I think that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so thank you. Stay with us, Hungry Team. Hungry Minds Team. Bye bye.